Hey Ville, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Yeah,
To kick things off, would you mind just briefly introducing yourself?
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, my name is Ville Ilves. Well, let's say if we skip the earlier parts of my career, so I'm the former CEO of a company called Rightware. Rightware is a HMI technology company. We, I mean, by the time I left the company 2021, we were serving 50 plus automotive OEMs in the HMI technology. So basically all around the world where there's significant automotive industry, there's Rightware presence. Um, and and after that, been in say been working and consulting basically uh, the bigger project after Rightware was this Unikey that is also it's a quite big player out of Finland in the automotive software space. And then I was also working with these Silo AI guys that got acquired by AMD. And then addition to these things, I'm working as an advisor in a couple of M&A deals as we speak, and then been in some projects we've been for let's say designing some HMI architecture for a new car brand and totally new project. So quite for the recent years. I mean, quite versatile in the automotive industry and some other verticals lately. For the unfortunate reasons, also I've been quite involved in the defense space, but the auto industry has been a big part of my career for the last 15 years.
Fascinating. Thank you so much for the overview. You implicitly alluded to this. You're also based in Finland, aren't you?
I'm actually based in Tallinn nowadays. 2 hour boat trip from Helsinki south, so about 80 kilometers away. But I'm a Finn. I mean, I used to. I've well, I'm born in Finland and lived in Finland and United States for quite some years. But for the last 3 plus years in Tallinn, and happy to be here. I mean, this is a very striving software community as well. So
Yeah, it's a perfect segue to my first question, which
mhm.
is what role does Scandinavia play in the current AI, Gen AI development and companies from Scandinavian countries in the automotive context?
Yeah, I think we're quite good, and there's like in the early days of right where when we started, 2010, there was not uh, a lot of Finnish software companies involved with the auto industry, but since then there's quite an ecosystem of players nowadays in the different areas, and we of course had this um, uh, Electrobit back in the day, now called Bitium, that sold their auto business to Continental a few years back. It was quite big acquisition. I think it was like 500-600 million euros worth. So yeah, we do have quite a presence there nowadays. And there's a what comes to AI, we do have quite there's a good let's say university research in Aalto University and also in Turku University. So I guess the main, and of course I guess everybody has something, but I mean these to me kind of strike as the most advanced universities in the AI space, and that's which was definitely one of the reasons how, I mean, how Silo AI was established back in the day. I think it was 2017 when it was founded, and it was that was the, let's say, the previous big sort of hype around AI was 2017, and that's when Silo was founded, and then now what came with the chat GPT is then the second wave, and as a result of the second wave also, as it quite often happens into the companies in Finland, is that they got acquired by the Americans, and that's what happened to Silo AI as well.
Thank you so much for the overview. You were the CEO of Rightware. What were some of your biggest lessons learned from that time working with the organization?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. It was a quite long journey as well. I mean, I think it was like 11 years. So from an early stage startup to say mid cap company. So um, uh, well, I mean, I think there's a, I mean, of course, I mean, when you look back, it kind of um, you can sort of shoot the straight line. How did you guys get here? But the truth of the matter is that there was no, that was not. It was a journey with a lot of twists and turns before you end up where you were. But I guess there's one thing is that while as a startup and so forth, you have to be able to spin and pivot your business plans accordingly. But then again, there must be one thing. Let's say that you have to have the red line to the to follow in terms of that you have some sort of a vision that and you're walking towards the vision, and you might need to adjust the uh, you know, on the fly you have to adjust all the time your plan, how you're going to get there. But if you don't have that vision, and the vision is not commonly shared with the board and the management, then you're doomed to failure. So believe on your vision, and follow it, uh, uh, even if there's some tough times in the way there.
Sort of alluded to this Steve Jobs quote there of I guess connecting the dots in hindsight, which is always a little easier. Is there
Yes.
anything, I know potentially sort of a somewhat tricky, controversial question. Is there anything that you think you or the organization could or should have done differently during your time there?
I'm sure there's many things. There's many things, and but the but I mean it's kind of hard to. I mean, because it's always so easy to say from the hindsight that okay, I should have done this and that, but
Mm.
it's and things look always, when you look backwards, they look so obvious that of course we should have done this, and why did we not um, figure this out earlier, because it's obvious, but it's not when you're it's very easy to look in the rear view mirror and say this was clear. So um, I don't think there's any um, major things that I would have done differently. Okay, let's say the later parts, when the company got acquired and so forth. So maybe at that stage, I would have had a little more patience than the venture capital had, in terms of taking this one step further before the acquisition happened. So that might be a thing that I would have done differently. But then again, it was not in my power. As it goes, I mean, the owners will decide what they want to do. But I would have definitely taken the company, if it would have been in my power, to do at least one or 2 years further, and it would have been significantly, I mean, while the exit was okay, but it would have been a much better exit than 1 or 2 years later.
Mm.
So basically, as soon as we were 2017, when the acquisition happened, was pretty much the first year that the company was like profitable, and we had a couple of major um, contracts with the uh, with with the OEMs in production use of the Kansi Rightware Kansi technology, and that was but 1 or 2 years later would have been, and at the same time also in this space um, the valuation of these companies did increase significantly, so it would have been
Mm.
better that way, but it was an okay exit anyway, and that's I'm sure the VCs would have also decided differently if they would have had the crystal ball, but it is what it is.
No, really,
But
really
at least,
appreciate the.
at least they they made a nice return of their investment, and a good multiplier for the money invested. So I guess they were happy, but they would have made more money if they would have more patience.
Building on it, what are some of the, you already alluded to some of the M&A activities in the
Mm.
AI, Gen AI space in automotive. What are some of the interesting use cases that you currently see that are being implemented right now?
I'm not sure if it's related so much of the M&A space, but I think it's what I've been part of one project that is still undercover. So, but we've been sort of designing the let's say the user experience in the car, and thinking a little bit, what it should be. And I think it's in that context we designed this. Oh, let's say I don't know if it's a strong say that we designed, but we thought about um, how there should be this kind of a like an onboard LLM in a car that would uh, discuss with the car features. Let's say the things um, that you would like combine with the data of the car. I mean, you could do navigation plans in a way that the car would say that if you if you if you don't want to charge on the way to where you were going, you want consider dropping the temperature by 2 degrees and in the cabin or whatever. I mean, this sort of thing. So basically, that there would be an onboard LLM that would discuss with the car features, the car basically connected to the GAN bus or any, let's say, more modern bus system used in the car, and then that would be uh, talking with let's say if it's a Google platform, you would have Gemini or something, but there would be this onboard element that would kind of talk with the different features of the car, and can and then um, let's say help the driver, and let's say communicate with the driver about the car feature. So that was kind of an interesting. We experienced it a little bit. So.
Really
And this
interesting
is,
to,
and this
yeah.
is the way. I mean, this is the way I think the system should go. I mean, I guess one of the, let's say, leading companies in this space is Daimler, as they're very vocal. I mean, you can go to LinkedIn and read the postings, and I think they're going to that direction. But I think what we were sort of envisioning was a little further than than those that have been published by them.
Mm. It's a conversation that has happened a lot over the past couple of years with sort of the general, I guess, development away from differentiation through internal combustion engines to, I guess, more standardized designs in many respects to, I guess, different possibilities in terms of screens and Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and all of these things that sort of standardize this a little bit more, where many would argue that the engagement in and around the vehicle becomes a potentially critical differentiator, a more important point.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, it is a factor. I mean, I am a a long term car guy also and I mean, I've owned number of vehicles and so forth. That the thing is that now with this modern standardized EV platforms. I mean, I mean, the let's say back in the old days, the internal combustion engine was the heart of the car, right? And now that they're electric, I mean, the heart is basically gone, and you have to find the differentiating factors from other things. And it's definitely the whole user HMI and the uh, the user experience in the car that's more and more meaningful. And because it was already you know I say already like 5 years back. I mean, I remember one of the Rightwares that is also a public reference was this. Um, I think it came out maybe 2000 and well, let's say late, like maybe not 80s or 90s. There's this Cadillac came out with this. They said that is a 54-inch um, display. I mean, OLED display. Let's say a glass dashboard. Uh, was made by the hardware was made by LG, and it was Rightware software running on behind it, and it was quite uh, a game changer in terms of user experience. And we have to remember that, I mean, there's when we look at the HMI, we talk, of course, it's the usability and the the I mean, how safe it's for the driver and driver distraction and whatnot. But also an important factor. Uh, I mean, at the end of the day, the car maker is there to sell cars, right? And the effect that the consumer gets in the showroom when they sit into the car, and you start the car, you have all these animations in the big screens and everything, and that is a big factor. I mean, if you think about it, that you go to this and it's still the case, like in um, uh, like particularly the Chinese OEMs have put a lot of effort on the digital experience of the car, and they have several snapdragons powering the screens and so forth. But already back in the day, I mean, it was like if you go to your competitor's vehicle and it has analogic cases and these sort of things, and where you sit into this other car that has full glass dashboard with all the animations and everything. So for most people, this is quite important that you have a feeling that, okay, this is a modern car. I mean, this is the state of the art digital experience that I'm going to get here, and be fascinated about the dashboard. And then if your competitor's car is less, I mean, it's a big defining factor for which one you're going to buy. So yes, it is about safety and usability and user experience, but it's also the wow factor that sells the car.
How do you think we will engage with our vehicle, sort of specifically from an in-vehicle user interface and user experience standpoint in the future? I think there are many discussions around sort of voice control and sort of more
Yeah.
simplified designs, but it doesn't seem to be sort of this very sort of clear path forward, given that there are quite differing opinions. What is your perspective on this future of the interface?
Yeah, I think it's this speed control is for sure a big factor, and the and it will become, because of the help of the AI, will really become conversational in sense that you can have a dialogue with the car. It's not only that hello Mercedes, put windshield wipers on type of primitive things that we have today. It will be more communicative, and I think it's also the you know the 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 app that you will have in your phone will also be smarter, and it has I mean, it'll be these things that uh, that, let's say that well, you live in Finland. I mean, you're jumping into a freezing start. I mean, there's a frozen car waiting for you in the parking lot if you don't remember to put on the heating. I mean, and if the car knows that, okay, you usually go to the office, or it sees in your calendar that you have a meeting at this time, and you're likely to, it assumes that you go there with your car, and you can ask that, hey, do you want to schedule heating 30 minutes before your departure? And this is just an example, but I think it's going to be uh, it's going to be a companion, and and it's going to be able to live with your personal assistant in your phone. So uh, that sort of things are for sure in works, and we're going to see them in not so distant future.
You've worked with companies across the globe and global organizations. Where are these innovations coming from? You already alluded to that lots of acquisitions are happening by US companies at the minute. Then China, in many respects, was and probably still is a hotspot for these types of innovations. What are some of the current developments in terms of global innovative power that you currently see?
Obviously, I think there's a lot of let's say there's a lot of uh, innovation we see also coming from Europe and from the Nordics. But the problem is that we're not good on commercializing them, right? The ideas will get commercialized by the the Silicon Valley companies, or why not somebody else? But that is what is happening, um, uh, and that is something. Um, let's say we in in Europe, or in the Scandinavia, we are good on. We have innovation, right? And we have ideas, but these innovations and ideas usually get commercialized by the Googles and the Apples and whatnot. So that is something, and I'm not I don't. There's no silver bullet or easy recipe how we could change that, and but we should definitely think about it, that what is there that we could do to um, have more of this. Unfortunately, in Europe, we are very good on regulation, but we're not very good on innovation. Or that we have the innovation, but it is being commercialized by somebody else than us. What can we do to change this? This is the big question we should think about.
Specifically talking about the automotive manufacturers, where many of these products and solutions come together, what would be your, let's say, top three recommendations for someone in charge of the data and AI strategy, specifically to unlock value from this next wave of Gen AI solutions that we currently see?
Um, Here, the let's say one of the things for sure is that it is because of the rapid phase of development of what the large language models are able to do, and so forth. So um, the I would, if I would be an automotive OEM, I would and I would be building let's say user experience, an HMI for the car. I would focus on one thing, and I'm not sure who would be the right partners, but I would love to have this uh, this onboard sort of LLM, and this is something that you need to do it yourself. You have your own car and your things, but then what comes to the large language models, I would to build the system in a way that you have an API where you can change the, you're not locked in the OpenAI, or you're not locked in the Google, in the what comes to the AI space. The that would be, um, let's say, my design recommendation, that build it in a way that you can easily swap the, because this technology at the moment is developing in such a rapid phase that you cannot, um, well, it's not very smart to lock yourself in anything, because 6 months later you don't know, this guy came out with a lot better thing. So you have to build it, you know let's say, it has to be dynamic. You have to be able to update the system frequently, rather than what we currently have, right? I mean, it's very static, uh, that what the systems are, and so it has to be updatable all the time, and build the onboard side of yourself, but then leave the big thing to the others. And then I guess one of these things, I mean, we see, Google Android OS heavily coming into the cars. I mean, if we now have like 2% of vehicles coming out is based on Android OS, and I think in it was like 3 years time, it's going to be 28%. So that's quickly coming. But while you're using Android OS, which to me, I mean, it has its own, pros and cons like everything, but that would be the thing that I would use anyway as a platform. But you don't have to, while you're using Android, you're not locked to Gemini. I mean, you can use any LLM architecture together with your OEM, and you have to, maintain your own brand image there anyway, which is possible with the companies like Rightware specialists to let you have their own brand experience uh, while you're using Android as a platform. But I mean, those are the, and then I won't think it's very wise for anybody in the OEM space to try to put too much on effort in the um, in, let's say, developing an LLM or training an LLM, except for the in-car part, that is quite, let's say, small size thing. It's AI type of approach, uh, but billions of dollars are being spent every year to develop the, let's say, the back, LLM platforms better. So just utilize that, uh, what is available from the, let's say, the big players, or or smaller players. But nevertheless, the even the smaller players are, yeah, basically spending billions on it.
Mm. It's really interesting. Just to sort of as a final questions to wrap up the
Mhm.
conversation, because this is something that I hear a lot, is around this aspect of modularity,
Mhm.
avoiding vendor lock-in for clear
Yeah.
reasons. But then there
Yeah.
is this big question of capability building on the OEM side. What
Mhm.
level of understanding and, let's say, Gen AI associate capability would you recommend they seek to develop to at least have, I guess, a level of sensible understanding and ability to critically challenge partners and bring the
Mhm.
right partners together?
So basically, like, what sort of size of a team or effort you should put on that? Uh, yeah, I mean, this is a good question. But I don't think the core, let's say, the core team that needs uh, let's say, the core team behind like I said, in the context of an automotive OEM, the core team behind say, the AI strategy is not many people. I would think, in a big OEM, there should be maximum 10 people, right? And then, of course, you have the supporting organization that needs to, talk with the vendors, and kind of design things, how they work, and so forth. But I don't think it's I would say more this. It should be more like in order to make effective decisions and have a some sort of a joint vision. I think it's the ideal size is like, they say if there would be an AI leadership team, I would say there's 5 or 6 people.
Mhm.
That should be. And then
Fascinating.
you can really execute the. I mean, this. Well, we can talk about how good software companies, auto companies generally are. They're not very good, and there's a lot of inefficiencies, and these processes are not agile, and and then again at the same time there has been this uh, big willingness to do everything ourselves, that we have to do everything, and there's been some great books and ideas of how all companies will become software companies, right? Which is true to some extent, but trying to do everything in-house, each one of these OEMs is kind of a ridiculous idea as well. You should keep only the critical, let's say, front end on your own hands. But then, I mean, auto industry in historically has been very good on leveraging the same suppliers. That then and in when you're doing that, you're sharing the development cost with others. You're not trying to, you don't have to pay it all yourself. If you think about like you know uh, you know innovations like ABS brakes. ABS brakes first time, I think it was an S-Class Mercedes that they become available, um, but soon after, 10 years later, it's in basically every car, right? So and then you're sharing the development cost with everybody. Now in this approach that everybody's, we're going to be doing everything in house, and we're becoming a software company. I don't think that's sustainable either. We have gone too far to that end, and you should, um, you know, skin it in a way that you have that what is important, but then rely on your partners. And this is how auto industry has worked for the last 150 years. And I think we should take one step back maybe there.
No, thank you so much, Ville. It's been a really insightful and very enjoyable conversation. Thank you so much for taking your time for this.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Fabian. It was always a pleasure to talk with you.